Okay, so Matthew 27, I think verse 24. So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood, see to it yourselves. And all the people answered, His blood be on us.
I just read this morning.
And on our children. Then he released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole battalion before him, and they stripped him and put on a scarlet robe on him. And twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and put a reed in his right hand. And kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews. And they spit on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe and put on his own clothes with him and led him away to crucify him. Yes, Miss.
That's kind of dumb. A week ago they were praising him.
Some of them were praising him. But yeah, there is this dynamic of the praising turns to cursing because they don't see that he's functioning the way that they want him to function. Oftentimes we are pressured to behave a certain way because if we don't, then we'll lose our friends. Oftentimes we are pressured to behave or else we're going to experience pain. Sowing and reaping. Be treated unjustly. Be falsely accused. This is not new stuff, and he said, if they hate me, they're going to hate you. Let's make this personal. If they hated him, there's a high chance that they're going to hate you. For no reason. They didn't kill him just because he came down to earth and told people to be nice to each other. And be sweet and love everyone and forgive everyone. They killed him because he did not perform the way they wanted him to perform, like the trained monkey. And they accused him of insurrection. People are going to do what the Lord wants them to do, and they're going to get called out as being insurrectionists or terrorists or whatever the case. They're going to be falsely accused. And you're not going to have me or Mom to say, well, we can just overturn this and you're not going to face the punishment. No, there are going to be times when you're going to face the punishment. Newsflash, it's going to happen. Newsflash, even if you try to live a normal life, the Lord is going to think of ways to, at times, intervene and get involved in it.
And we're going to go through mountains and valleys and deserts to grow us in our character and so that we will dig in to find Him, not just skate along in our own strength and power. We aren't designed to live this life within the scope of our power. We're designed to live beyond our power with His power.
Y'all are so, at times, so obsessed, or we're so obsessed, all of us, with doing this thing in our own strength and using the resources. And there's nothing wrong with using the resources the Lord has given you. However, when you are not using the resources He is trying to allocate to you for a particular task, and when He is trying to get you to play a long game and you're constantly short-circuiting yourself, if you think that a day of being hated on by people of the opposite sex means that, oh, wait a minute, I must not be normal. If it causes you to walk in violation of the design God has put into you, it's going to be far more effective if you slow down and play a long game. Do you know what it means to play a long game?
No.
Yes.
Isaac, what does it mean to play a long game?
It means that you're like thinking about your end goal and not just taking moment by moment influences, and that you're sorry, that you're like going for the whole end point, and that's your focus.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Are you familiar with any games that are played between two people where you have to concentrate on the long game?
Yeah.
What game?
Checkers,
And?
Battleship, chess, turtle, nonsense.
Chess. How many moves ahead do you typically have to think on how many fronts?
At least 3.
Long game. We're used to lashing out. Oh, the boys hate me today, I must be gay. Oh, the girls hate me today, I must be gay. The boys get along with me just fine. If we take our cues about our identity based on how people interact with us, because we violate the status quo, it's not normal people suck, it's the status quo sucks.
Thank you for moving.
You were made for a specifically set of tasks, Ephesians 2, 8, 9, 10, and 11, that God has meant for you to complete on hand, beforehand. He already had this thing set in motion. He had some intention. He knew you were going to face obstacles. He knew you were going to face idiots. Public school idiots and private school idiots are just, same poop, different toilet. It's just that one toilet might be up high 3 more inches than the other toilet. And it's got a black seat as opposed to a white seat. Gang. The next few years will help make or break you in stepping into being a son of the King. And that goes for men as well as women in being the bride of Christ. There are no bridegrooms of Christ. Christ doesn't marry a man. Christ is not homosexual. Christ marries a woman. Us. Congratulations, life is uncomfortable for everyone. He was falsely accused. He was whipped, and repeatedly, mercilessly, he was not allowed to respond because his father told him to close his mouth and behave like the Lamb of God that he was. Vengeance is yours?
No.
Who is vengeance belong to?
The Lord.
Yeah. I'm talking reality. You know, when I was in middle school, high school, there were people who thought I was gay because I didn't have a girlfriend until late in high school.
That's a lie.
I used to hear it a lot too. Of course, they had other things they could call me out on. So.
But the thing that you don't realize is that there is a status quo that you're walking into rather than rejecting, and the Lord has something better than the status quo. But in order to get to better than the status quo, you have to push through mountains at times of SHIT. And the question is, are you going to push through the shit, or are you going to dig into it and live in it? You have a responsibility. He's looking for people who have big shovels and can move the stuff aside, prepare the way of the Lord, every mountain be made low, every valley be raised up, so that you can have a highway for the Lord to speak, so that the Lord can move. And do you respond when the Lord has you to respond? Do you have self-control of your emotions so that when it's time to get angry, it's because the Lord said it's time for you to get angry and deal with this injustice and move forward and beat on this thing and call people out on their crap. And then when it's time for you to be silent or be quiet regardless of what happens. I'm talking about assaulting the status quo. Jesus assaulted the status quo without even saying a word. He assaulted the status quo by handing his life over to the Lord. It was being poured out like a drink offering, like Apostle Paul said in 2 Timothy chapter 3 or 4. But, this is long game. This is not short game. There's a time for the short win. There's a time for the quick response to the injustice. Passive-aggressive, narcissistic fool clown. And there's a time to play for the long game because you're going to see people redeemed. And there's a bigger goal. But it's going to take time. One of the things I'm actively wrestling for and have been is my grandchildren, because I have a legacy that the enemy would love to cut off. That is not pressure on any of the three of you. See, so we each have battles. And if the boys or the girls are treating you and they're being idiots at the school that you're at, it might be that you are not in the place where you're ready to meet the person because they live in a different state, country, city. They don't live here, and you're using the dregs and the junk and the orcs of the society as your standard by which you're judging every one of a particular sex or race or group. When really you should be looking, okay, where are the men of Numenor? Where are the shield maidens of Rohan? They're not here. They're in Rohan and Gondor. Translation, you've got this little group of people that lives in York County, South Carolina, and there are hundreds of thousands of other counties out there. There's Bradford County, Florida. There's Dade County, Florida. There's King County, Washington. There's Prince George's County, Maryland. There's Manhattan, New York. Kern County, California. San Joaquin Valley. Leon County, Florida, which is the county that contains Tallahassee, the state capital. Fulton County, Georgia. Bigger. Your perspective is like this, and the Lord is saying this. I've been to Toronto and London. Toronto, Ontario, London, England. I've been to Panama. Chepo. I know what it's like. I've got a little bit bigger perspective. You push through this, you may not arrive with a high school sweetheart or a middle school sweetheart because some of these middle schools and high schools got their own issues and they're so focused on their own myopic stuff and making fun of other people for not having boyfriends and girlfriends. That's not somebody you want in your life if they're going to make fun of other people and make fun of you.
Besides, a lot of the people around you right now still have a whole lot more growing to do. Just like you do.
I'm not giving you milk, I'm giving you meat for a purpose. Okay. Life doesn't happen in here with your doilies and plates. The world is out there. Out your doorstep. So move out of your little hobbit holes and out there into the big wild of Erebor and Mordor and Gondor and Rohan and the Misty Mountains and Caradhras and the bridge of Khazad-dûm. Part of Gandalf's destiny was falling off the bridge of Khazad-dûm. His destiny required that he do that. None of the other Istari was willing to sacrifice their lives, and as a result, they were not willing to grow in authority. The Istari were their class of wizards in Tolkien's Middle-earth. His jumping off the bridge and falling off the bridge at Khazad-dûm led to him fighting the Balrog of Morgoth. Morgoth was Sauron's boss, so big granddaddy of them all from the Silmarillion. And as a result of slaying the Balrog, which was one of Morgoth's lieutenants, he changed from Gandalf the Grey into what Saruman the White should have been, but was unwilling to make the sacrifice necessary. Some of y'all got to make the sacrifice necessary so you can change your robes out from gray to white. It's okay being for a season being a ranger or a pilgrim for a season, but at some point you have to step into the fullness of who you are. And it's not like I have not been there. There are, for example, in the next season, which involves college, there are state schools that have everything that you'll need, and they're a fraction of the cost of all these private schools or out-of-state schools. There are also other options for schools that don't involve taking out loans because they require you to work study, like College of the Ozarks.
Work study is a really good way to go through school. Plus, it looks excellent on a resume.
You got this little thing, and God is trying to go boom. But the only way you can go boom is if you allow yourself for a season to be wrongfully treated so that you can earn some authority, so that when a time comes and you need the self-control and temperance, it's there when you're making 6-7 figures and you're getting chewed out by somebody making 8 or 10 figures. You bite your tongue and you realize that you're there to protect the company. Because all these other people that are out there with their avarice and they want their greed and their whatnots, they're going to be the cause of the company's downfall, but you're there because the Lord has you there on assignment to protect the company. Because He's actually trying to redeem some things. But you learn the self-control in this season, and it can carry you into a season where you may go from making 4 or 5 figures to 8 or 10 figures because you bit your tongue and because you kept at it. I know this is not all about money, but I'm talking about management and stewardship of your interior castle, your interior world, so that you can have a stewardship and the capacity to be given an exterior world that matches the bigness of who you are inside. The reason Jesus was given the world is because He was willing to be mistreated for a season. In exchange for a serial killer. Or whatever Barabbas, rap sheet was.
Well, it said Barabbas the murderer, so probably serial killer.
Probably.
Why did they? Never mind.
Definitely an insurrection.
Why did they what?
Why did they put cereal at the beginning of it?
Because when you do a serial, that means you do things in series, so it's a group of things. So a serial killer is somebody who's killed multiple people.
Oh, well, first I thought, when I was younger, I thought it was someone who ate cereal while they were killing someone.
Me too. Me too. So,
I'm sorry, but that's funny.
So, gang, are we willing to hear what the Lord has for us, even if it's painful? Pam, do you have anything to add?
There's a when you're thinking about it's hard to think about the long game, okay?
Yeah.
When your emotions are completely caught up in the short game. So the short game is now. This is how I feel now. This is how I see the world now. This is how I interpret the things happening to me and project them into the future. The thing is that you don't know what your future holds. Your middle school and your high school years, especially with the hormone and the growth and the body changes that you go through, seem so Mount Everest. And rather than, and I get it because I lived them. And it was Mount Everest to me, and I thought my life was doomed to be horrible. And I had other things, other external forces acting upon me during those years as well. And the degree of futility was so high. And I'm thankful the Lord was able to see me through. But I had trouble seeing past this is the pool of people I have to choose from to get married and spend the rest of my life with. Now I extend that to college, because I was hoping that wouldn't change my pool, but it did not, and I made a lot of poor choices because of what I saw as my reality. Things that happened externally in my family financially caused me to make bad decisions. Things that happened externally from other things, there was pools of things that caused me to have bad decisions. What I should have done, and what I would love for you guys to do, is to not look at, I need a girlfriend, I need a boyfriend, I need, whatever it is you perceive that you need. Because the real thing that you need is to put your eyes on the Lord. And if you every day say to Him, how do you want me to walk out this day? What do you have for my long game? Would you help me make my long game? And not think about the feelings of the relationship, and yes, I know that probably even now most of the people around you are pairing up with people, and there's a lot of girlfriend boyfriend things and all that kind of stuff going on. I get it, I've lived it, but if you can put your eyes on the Lord and develop your relationship with Him and learn the principles and apply the principles and ask Him to help you build the long game, you're going to escape a lot of the traps, because the junior, middle school, high school, college romance thing is a massive distraction and can have some very long-term consequences, even life-term consequences, if you choose poorly. If you can avoid that mess by keeping your eyes on the Lord and saying, okay, in this moment, what do I need to do? In this moment, your job is school. Your job is to get through school. Your job is to seek the Lord and to say, hey, what part of what I'm doing here and what electives and what should my high school and my college choices look like so that I can be where you want me to be, so I can fulfill my birthright and walk out my calling, and get settled in, kind of what are the pool of choices God's given me for a career, and which one would I like to do? Because He's not an automaton, and he's going to give you a pool of choices and say, here, make a choice. It's not I know there are many who will tell you that His path for you is one step, one step, one step, one step. But honestly, most of the time, the principles in the Word lead to, here's a big pool of the Word, of what He's speaking to you, of the godly counsel you have around you, of the life experience of people around you that you can learn from. And in the pool of, this is what God allows, there's you can choose the wife or the husband you want. Oh, you can choose the career you want. Oh, you can choose the path that you want, that is still in line with, you being able to walk out your birthright, which is solving the problem you were designed to solve. But you've got to rely on Him. You don't rely on your own understanding. You don't rely on yourself. You don't rely on how you feel. My Lord, feelings are so misleading at this age, because every piece of hormone that's surging through your body affects your hormones, affects your feelings, affects your way you perceive things. Okay, so it's really important to get the basics in. Okay, so that's why we have time in the Word, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry, that's going to be part of your life while you live here, because we are at least going to give you the opportunity to pull the principles. Whether you pull them or not is up to you, But this is your best opportunity to succeed when you get to know who God is and what his principles are. Because the principles don't matter if you believe in them or not. The principle of gravity does not care if you believe in it or not. The principle of gravity is constantly there and constantly working. Okay? If I pick this up, it's going to fall. Whether I believe in gravity or not doesn't make a whit of difference. Well, there's a lot of God's principles that are exactly the same way. The principle of sowing and reaping does not care if you believe in it. The principle of sowing and reaping says what you sow, you're going to reap. And if you sow the right thing, you will reap it if you continue to sow the right thing. Because sowing and reaping is a long game. Gravity is a short game. This is the shortest game it gets. Every single time it's going to fall. That's your short game. The long game is, good heavens, I've been sowing this principle for 15 years and I don't see any results. Okay? It's a long game. And it matters, and you will reap it. And so will I. I'm reaping some of my long game now. I've got more long game to reap. Some of it's good, some of it's not. I have not lived my life consistently under the principles, and I wish I had. And I made a lot of really bad life-altering decisions that you can't just say, it's like you guys saying, well, can I get out of this, or can we change that, or whatever. When you make a life-altering decision, there is no escape from that consequence. A person who drinks too much at a bar and then goes out and kills someone may or may not end up in jail, may or may not, whatever, but they will always live with the consequence of killing someone. Always. Intentional or not. They made a bad decision and they killed someone, and that will always be on their conscience. Okay? 2 people having sex outside of marriage, producing a child, is a lifetime consequence. You can't go back on that as whether the child is born or not. The consequence is there. It will always be you produced a child. Whether you took care of it or not, you have a child. There is no taking care of it in the spiritual realm. Okay? Even if the girl takes off or the boy takes, well, not as often that way, but if the girl takes off and you never see your child, does not negate the fact that you have a child that you are responsible for, that you are abdicating that responsibility for. Okay? There are consequences that last forever, no matter what. Okay? We're still dealing with some of that in some of our lives. Okay? So, there's principles here that need to be followed, and you would be wise to take.
Yeah.
We're not perfect. We don't walk it out perfectly. We don't live it perfectly. But boy, we've learned a lot along the way, and we've screwed up a lot. And you'd be really wise to learn from us so you don't have to screw up a lot. It'll make your lives less painful if you learn from our pain.
Yeah.
Your choice. End of rant.
So, responsibility. You can do this the easy way, you can do this the hard way, and sometimes the hard way is the long way, and you have to move through some stuff. And it's not pain, it's not pleasant. But there is a reaping. So, gang, from all of us together in the grace of God, bless you with a wonderful Sunday morning and afternoon. Be at peace. Love you guys. Take care.